Imagine a typical Tuesday, a gray, routine, unremarkable day in your life. You're standing in line at the supermarket checkout or perhaps at a gas station. The familiar smell of cheap coffee, gasoline, and sterile cleanliness hangs in the air. You're tired. You want to go home. You're thinking about what to make for dinner or what TV show to watch before bed. Your hand automatically reaches for your pocket, takes out your smartphone or credit card, a familiar gesture you've performed thousands of times. You hold the device to the terminal. A short, sharp beep sounds. But it's not the joyful sound of an approved transaction you're accustomed to. It's the dull, alarming signal of a rejection. You blink at the terminal screen. You're sure there's money in your account. You just got paid yesterday. You try again. The same sound again. The line behind you begins to shift, sigh, and shift from foot to foot. The cashier looks at you with that mixture of pity and irritation they give to losers holding up the flow. You feel hot. Sticky sweat breaks out on your back under your shirt. You open your banking app to check your balance, expecting to find a connection error or a technical glitch. But the numbers on the screen are green. There's money. 50,000, 100,000, 200,000. The amount doesn't matter. What matters is the little red pop-up window that appears over your balance. It doesn't say insufficient funds. It says transaction declined. Personal carbon footprint limit for the current week exceeded. Or perhaps your social rating has been temporarily lowered due to visiting untrustworthy sites. Or even simpler, the product category does not match your loyalty status. At that moment, the ground falls out from under your feet. You're standing in the middle of a brightly lit store, surrounded by hundreds of products, your phone glowing with the numbers you've earned with your labor, but you can't even buy a loaf of bread. In a single second, you're transformed from a respected citizen, from a property owner, from a consumer, into a powerless being who must ask permission for every breath of air. This is what the beginning of the end looks like. Not with a nuclear explosion, not with tanks in the streets, but with the quiet beep of a payment terminal informing you that your money is no longer yours. Welcome to the brave new world of central bank digital currencies. A world where the concept of private property is being erased with the eraser of software code. Most people still don't understand the fundamental difference between the money they hold on their cards now and what the printing press is preparing for them. They think it's simply a change in format. There was a paper dollar, now there's a digital one. It was convenient, and it will become even more convenient. What the hell difference does it make how you pay? The difference is colossal. It's the same as the difference between a free bird and a bird in a cage. The system's algorithms are set to hide such videos, so subscribe, and like now, it's the only way to ensure the next warning reaches you before disaster strikes. Leave a comment if you're ready to learn what others aren't telling you. Cash, those dirty, crumpled pieces of paper so hated by modern technocrats, possessed one sacred quality. It was an instrument of freedom. It was anonymous. It was neutral. A 5,000 ruble note didn't care whether you were a saint or a sinner, who you voted for, what books you read, or how much meat you ate this week. The note simply fulfilled its function. It transferred value from one person to another without intermediaries and without questions. When you held cash in your hand, you owned a piece of sovereignty. You could hide it under your mattress, burn it, give it away, lose it. It was yours, your property. The non-cash money we've become accustomed to over the past 20 years has already loosened this leash, but it was still your money in commercial bank accounts. Yes, a bank could freeze an account, but this required compelling grounds, court orders, and bureaucratic procedures. It was a system of checks and balances. But what's being implemented now isn't money, it's vouchers. It's food stamps for the gigantic prison cafeteria that the entire global economy has become. Central bank digital currency is programmable. Hear that word, programmable. This means that each digital coin can be programmed with the terms of its use. Imagine being able to give your money an order that can't be violated. This money can only be spent on food, but not on fuel. This money is only valid within a 5-kilometer radius of your place of registration. This money will be lost if it is not spent by the 30th of next month. This isn't the stuff of dystopian fiction. It's a technological reality that's already being tested in China, Europe, and America. The technology has already been created. The infrastructure has already been built. The traps have already been set. Their jaws just loosened for now, so the beast, that is, you, will more boldly enter the forest. Do you think you work for money? No. In the new system, you work for loyalty points. Think about how bonuses work at airlines or electronics stores. The company can change the accrual rules at any time, deduct your points, or limit the list of goods you can buy with them. You can't go to court and say, "Give me back my bonuses." They'll tell you, "Read the user agreement. Points are the company's property, not yours." Now scale this up to the entire global financial system. Your salary is your government loyalty points. Your pension is your good behavior points. Your savings are a temporary license to own resources, which can be revoked at any moment if the algorithm deems you a threat or simply unnecessary. Look around. Look at the people in that line. They're glued to their phones, scrolling through news feeds, laughing at silly videos. They're sleeping. They think progress means conveniently paying with a watch or a smile. They don't see the invisible walls that are erected around them with every transaction. They willingly wear a digital collar because it's pretty, fashionable, and eliminates the need to carry a wallet. But you know the truth now. You feel that cold. It's not the air conditioning. It's the cold of knowing the cage has slammed shut. Before, to deprive a person of their freedom, you had to send a squad of police, handcuff them, hold a trial, and put them in a cell with bars. It was expensive, time-consuming, and complicated. Now you just press a single button on a keyboard in a data center, and the person disappears. They don't physically die, no. They simply disconnect from life support. They can't buy food. They can't pay for transportation. They can't leave the city. They become a ghost in the digital world. You don't have to commit a crime to become an outcast. It's enough to simply fail to meet the new criteria for a responsible citizen. Do you consume too much? Are you too vocal? Donating too little to the right causes? The algorithm sees everything. The algorithm remembers everything. And the algorithm delivers its verdict instantly with no right of appeal. You leave the store empty-handed. The sun shines as brightly as it did 5 minutes ago. Cars drive down the street. Birds sing. But for you, the world has changed forever. You suddenly feel the distinct physiological weight of your smartphone in your pocket. It's no longer your means of communication. It's your guard, your personal convoy, watching your every move, every penny, every desire. And the worst part is, you can't throw it away. Because without it, you'll cease to exist. You look at your hands, they're free. There are no chains on them. But you feel an invisible noose tightening around your neck. With each passing day, with each enacted law, with each banking app update, this noose tightens. Your room to maneuver shrinks, your oxygen levels dwindle. And you realize that the very financial freedom you dreamed of, the one you spent years building, has become a fiction. A mirage, a hologram that dissipates as soon as you reach out to it. This was the first act of the drama, the act of awareness. You realized you were in a cage, but you hadn't yet grasped how sophisticated this structure was and why it was practically impossible to escape. Because the bars of this cage weren't made of steel, they were made of your own fear and laziness. And we'll talk further about how exactly this architecture of control works, how money has been taught to rot, and why it's served up under the guise of concerns for the future. Get ready, it's going to get even darker. At the heart of the new financial reality lies a concept that should make any sane person's hair stand on end. It's the concept of programmable money. It sounds like a harmless tech term, right? Like smart home or autopilot. Marketers package it in a glossy, innovative package, promising automatic payments, instant transfers, and protection from fraud. But peel back the veneer, and you won't see progress. You'll see a tool of total coercion. Imagine money with a memory, money that knows where it came from, whose hands it passed through, and how it was previously spent. Now add to this money that has conditioned reflexes. Triggers are baked into the very structure of your currency's digital code. If event A, then action B. This transforms currency from a neutral medium of exchange into an active agent of influence, a police officer sitting right in your wallet. The most terrifying of these triggers is the expiration date. Throughout human history, one of the primary functions of money has been to store value. You could earn a gold coin, bury it under an oak tree, and dig it up 100 years later. It would still be gold. You could put a banknote in a book and find it 10 years later. It would still be a means of payment, albeit slightly eroded by inflation. But the new system abolishes this function of accumulation as a class. The concept of demurrage is introduced, a negative interest rate built into the very essence of money. What does this look like in practice? You receive a notification. A social benefit or incentive payment in the amount of 1,000 units has been credited to your account. Please note, these funds must be spent by the end of the current month. Any unspent balance will be canceled on the first of the month. Do you feel the very physics of the process changing? Previously, you were the master of your savings. You could say, I won't spend now. I'll put it aside for a rainy day. I'll save for a house, for my children's education, for a startup. Now the system tells you, no, you won't save, you'll consume. You'll spin the wheel of the economy here and now, because we need to boost GDP. You're being deprived of the right to a future. You're being forced to live from day to day, turning into the perfect consumer addict, obligated to spend everything you have under threat of losing everything. It's economic vivisection. Like a lab rat, you're electrocuted if you stop, and given a sugar cube if you run faster. Money that rots if it sits idle is the dream of every Keynesian economist and the nightmare of every free person. This destroys the middle class. After all, what is the middle class? People with a safety net. People who have the resources to say no to a bad employer, to survive a crisis, to start their own business. If you take away the ability to save, you become a slave to the wage needle. You're 100% dependent on the system's next handout. But expiration dates are just the tip of the iceberg. The second facet of this control architecture is intended use. The digital ruble, dollar, or euro can be coded with so-called colored categories. Imagine your money being colored differently. Green money can only be spent on eco-friendly products and transportation. Red money can only be spent on utilities and taxes. Blue money can be spent on healthcare and education. And you can't mix these flows. You can't take the money allocated to you for keeping your pants up and use it to buy, say, a bottle of whiskey or a plane ticket to another country. The terminal simply won't process the transaction. It will say, access error. Funds type doesn't match the product category. They'll sell you on this as a blessing. We're providing targeted child benefits so alcoholic parents don't drink them away. We're subsidizing farmers so they buy seeds instead of new SUVs. Sounds reasonable, right? The trap always springs on the bait of good intentions. But once the mechanism is perfected for the marginalized and those on benefits, it's instantly extended to everyone. One day, you'll discover that your salary, too, has become targeted, that you're allowed to spend no more than 5% of your income on meat because livestock farming harms the climate, that you can't buy a gasoline-powered car because your currency doesn't support transactions with oil and gas company codes, that you can't donate money to an independent blogger or opposition politician because their wallets are marked in the system as unwanted recipients. This is censorship at the protocol level. Previously, to ban a book, you had to confiscate copies of the book. Now, it's enough to ban transactions with its ISBN. Previously, to suppress a protest, you had to deploy riot police. Now, it's enough to disable the digital wallets of everyone in the protest zone. After all, your geolocation is linked to your account. They're building a panopticon, a perfect prison, where a guard isn't needed because the walls themselves watch over the prisoners. Every purchase you make, every transfer, every penny you spend, everything is recorded in an eternal, immutable register. They know what you had for breakfast. They know what medications you buy, which means they know your diagnoses better than your doctor. They know where you go, who you sleep with, what you dream about. Data is the new oil, they say. But in this case, data is dirt. The system has a dossier on you, compiled in real time, and this dossier determines your social rating. So far, it's unofficial. For now, it's just scoring experiments, but the architecture is already in place. If you behave correctly, your loan interest rate is lower, your taxes are lower, and your access to benefits is greater. If you're a problem citizen, your life becomes more expensive and difficult every day. This isn't just economics. It's a new form of totalitarianism, sterile and silent. There are no black craters here at night. The lights on your financial app simply go out. You press a button, and all you get is silence. And you realize you're alone in the dark, and no one will hear you scream, because you don't even have the money to pay for the internet connection to make that scream. They call it smart contracts. But the only contract you sign when you enter this system is a contract to sell your soul. You trade free will for the convenience of an app. You surrender the right to decide what you need to a soulless algorithm written by people who despise you. The system is already here. Patents have been registered. Central banks are publishing white papers describing exactly this functionality in plain text, in dry terms. They don't even hide their plans. They're simply counting on you being too lazy to read these documents and too stupid to understand what's written there. They consider you cattle, who will walk into the slaughterhouse on their own if a little free fodder is scattered along the way. And, watching the world joyfully embrace convenient digital innovations, it's hard to shake the feeling that they're right. But the worst is yet to come. We've covered the how. Now we need to understand why you, voluntarily and with a bang, will put on this collar. Why, when the gates of the digital concentration camp open, the crowd won't flee, but will instead start queuing to get in. In the next section, we'll uncover the psychology of this grandiose manipulation. Get ready to see your reflection in the mirror, and you won't like it. Let's be honest. No one will hold a gun to your head, forcing you to download a digital currency app. There won't be men in black breaking down your door in the middle of the night and forcibly shoving a smartphone containing a new wallet into your hand. In the 21st century, slavery isn't enforced with a whip. It's sold as a premium subscription. It's packaged in a beautiful interface, adorned with gamification, and served up under the guise of security and care. And the scariest thing in this story isn't the cynicism of the elites, but your own painfully predictable reaction. You won't resist. You'll ask for more. How do you get millions of free people to voluntarily enter a cage? The answer is as old as time, but no less effective. Fear and freebies. The two most powerful buttons on the human psyche's control panel. And they'll be pressed simultaneously, creating a perfect storm in which your mind simply shuts down, giving way to instinct. The scenario has already been written. It's sitting in folders marked for official use only, in the offices of those who are now wisely discussing macroeconomic stability. It will all begin with a crisis. It could be a new virus, more deadly or simply more hyped than the last one. Or a cyber attack that takes down bank servers for a week. leaving you without access to your cards, or hyperinflation, with prices in stores changing hourly. The cause is unimportant. What matters is the result: panic, a visceral fear of tomorrow. And at that moment, the savior will appear on the scene, the state. It will say to you, "We know how hard it is for you. We see your suffering, and we have come to help." You'll be offered unconditional basic income, magic words that bring a warmth to the heart of a tired, over-indebted, and frightened person, a guaranteed payment to every citizen, just like that, for the mere fact of existence. Money for food, for utilities, for survival. Right now, when you've lost your job, when your business is closed, when prices have skyrocketed, who would refuse a life preserver when they're drowning? No one. But there will be one small condition, one tiny asterisk in a contract that no one reads. This money cannot be received in cash. It cannot be transferred to an old account at Spurbank or Chase. It can only be received in a special, secure, government-issued digital wallet. It's for your own safety, they'll say. Cash is a breeding ground for viruses. Bacteria thrive on it. Or, terrorists and drug dealers use cash, and we want to build a safe society. Or, the old banking system is too slow and expensive, but we'll give you instant transfers with no fees, and you'll agree. You'll download the app. You'll undergo biometrics, submitting a scan of your face and retina, because it's more secure, no one will steal your money. You'll receive your first digital coins, you'll buy bread and milk with them, and you'll breathe a sigh of relief. Phew, that was a lucky break. The government took care of it. At this moment, the trap will snap shut. You will willingly accept the Trojan horse. You will let the enemy into your fortress because he has brought you a gift. You will not notice how the very nature of your relationship with the world has changed. Before, money was your property. Now it has become a privilege bestowed upon you from above. And privilege, unlike property, can be revoked for bad behavior. But the training process will be gradual. At first, the reward will be sweet. You'll get discounts for using the digital ruble, cashback, discounted metro rides. You'll be shown how convenient it is. No need to lug around change. No need to look for an ATM. Look how cool it is. I just smiled for the camera and the payment went through. People will show off their new collars to each other, discussing whose design is prettier and whose leash is longer. And those who try to resist, those few paranoid souls who scream about a digital concentration camp, will be declared marginal, Luddites, enemies of progress, or worse, enemies of society. Why are you paying cash? Do you have something to hide? Are you evading taxes? Are you sponsoring terrorism? Public opinion, fueled by propaganda, will itself begin to hound those who refuse to enter the fold. If you're an honest person, you have nothing to fear from transparency, is the campaign's main slogan, and most people nod their heads. Yes, yes, let them keep an eye on the crooks, the corrupt, and the oligarchs. We're ordinary people. We have nothing to hide. What naivety, what wholly suicidal simplicity. Do you think transparency will work both ways? That you'll see where officials spend your taxes? No, only you will be transparent. You'll be a glass man in a glass house, and they will remain behind the tinted windows of their limousines and behind the walls of closed departments. The system is not built to control the elite. The elite will always find a way to move their assets into offshore accounts, into gold, into art objects, into forms of value inaccessible to the plebs. The system is built to control the herd, to shear them more efficiently, and if necessary, to slaughter them without unnecessary noise. Then, when everyone gets used to it, they'll start tightening the screws. Slowly, one turn at a time. They'll introduce negative interest rates. They'll introduce carbon caps. They'll introduce social credit. But it will be too late. You won't have any cash left. It will be removed from circulation under the pretext of fighting inflation or crime. ATMs will be dismantled as obsolete. Stores will stop accepting paper because it's unhygienic and illegal. You'll find yourself in a world without alternatives. You won't be able to slam the door and go to another bank, because there's only one bank now, and that's the central bank. You won't be able to retreat into a gray zone, because there's no such thing anymore. Everything is X-rayed by the blockchain. You'll be completely, totally dependent on the algorithm's will, and you'll smile. You'll praise the system, because the system will reward loyalty. Are you a good citizen? Did you vote correctly? Did you get your shot on time? Here are some bonus points. You can buy an extra chocolate bar, and people will fight over these points. They'll snitch on their neighbors who try to barter favors past the register for a jar of jam or a sack of potatoes. Look, he's breaking the rules. He's undermining the economy. This new type of slavery isn't based on chains. It's based on the slaves' complicity, on their desire to be normal, to be like everyone else, to be safe. The trap with the piece of meat worked perfectly. The beast was hungry. The beast didn't see the spring. The beast took a step. And now the beast sits in the cage, waiting for its master to come and decide its fate. You still have the illusion of choice. You think, I'm not like that. I won't fall for it. Believe me, everyone will. When your stomach is twisted with hunger and your children are crying for food, you'll download any app and sign any agreement without even looking. They know it. They're counting on it. Your biology is their greatest ally. The survival instinct will force you to trade your freedom for a bowl of soup. And at that moment, the history of human freedom, which has lasted for thousands of years, will end. The history of human resources will begin. You might think that everything described above is a horror story from the distant future, something like the plot for the next season of Black Mirror, which we will watch on the couch with popcorn and then peacefully go to bed. You are wrong. You are fatally, criminally wrong in your assessment of time. The future is not out there. It is already breathing down your neck. The clockwork has been set in motion and the hands are spinning at a breakneck speed. We don't have decades. We don't even have a 5-year plan. The transition to total digital control is a matter of the next 24, 36 months at most. Let's look at the calendar. Let's remove all emotion and embrace the cold logic of a scout analyzing enemy troop movements. As you read this, over 100 countries are actively developing or testing their own digital currencies, CBDCs. That's 95% of global GDP. China has already implemented a digital yuan and is testing it on hundreds of millions of citizens, linking wallets to a social credit system. Europe is preparing to launch a digital euro, openly stating that transaction anonymity will be limited. The United States has issued a decree calling for the development of a digital dollar, calling it a matter of national security. Russia is testing a digital ruble, preparing to transfer budget payments to it. These aren't isolated experiments. This is a coordinated global special operation. Stage 1. The years 2024 to 25. Soft implementation. You'll see new wallets appearing in your banking apps. You'll be offered bonuses, cashback, and discounts for using this innovative payment method. The government will begin paying pensions and benefits digitally, citing speed and convenience. Cash won't disappear, but its use will gradually become more difficult. ATM withdrawal limits will be lower. Cash transaction fees will increase. Large cash purchases will raise questions from the tax authorities. You'll be gently but firmly nudged toward the digital pen. Stage 2, the year 2026, the point of no return. A trigger will occur. A new crisis, a market crash, a pandemic, a climate catastrophe, or a war. The pretext is irrelevant. Under the guise of an emergency, it will be announced that the old financial system is failing or compromised. To save the economy, a universal basic income will be introduced, but only in digital currency. At that moment, millions of people will voluntarily give up cash for the sake of a ration. At the same time, carbon passports and social credit will be introduced. At first, in a test mode, for your benefit. Then, as a mandatory requirement for loans, insurance, and access to government services. Stage 3, the year 2027 and beyond. The trap is sprung. Cash will be outlawed or completely eliminated. All transactions will become digital. Private property will be de facto abolished. You will own things and money only as long as the system allows you to own them. Any dissent will be punished with immediate financial blocking. Attended a protest? Your wallet will be frozen. Wrote the wrong post? Your purchase limit will be reduced to the subsistence minimum. Failure to undergo a mandatory medical procedure? Your metro and grocery store passes will be revoked. A world of transparent walls will become a reality. Privacy will be gone forever. Your life will become a glass aquarium, monitored 24/7 by artificial intelligence, assessing your usefulness to the hive. What does this mean for you personally? This means the lead time is measured in months. You can't stop this steamroller. You can't go out with a sign and cancel digitalization. But you can, before it's too late, create your own small, autonomous lifeboat. You need to build parallel systems of value exchange. Remember how people lived during times of extreme shortages or war? The most reliable currency wasn't money, but real resources: food, medicine, fuel, tools, skills. Stop hoarding numbers on a screen. They'll turn to dust. Invest in things you can touch. Buy land. Even a small plot of land where you can grow potatoes will become your island of freedom. Buy gold and silver, not paper, not in a brokerage account, but physical gold that you can stash away. This is money that has no expiration date and doesn't rely on electricity. Create connections. Your greatest safety net isn't a bank, but a community. Friends, neighbors, like-minded individuals with whom you can exchange services and goods directly, bypassing the digital eye of Sauron. Barter will become the new black market, a new zone of freedom. I'll give you a sack of flour. You'll fix my roof. This ancient, primitive economy will become the only way to preserve human dignity and independence. Learn to be invisible. Minimize your digital footprint. Learn to use encryption tools, VPNs, and decentralized networks. But remember, these are only temporary measures. The real battle will unfold in the physical world. Tick, tock. Time is running out. Right now, as you read this, programmers in the basements of central banks are finishing the final lines of code that will become your prison bars. They have no doubt of success. They are sure you will swallow the bait. prove them wrong. Or resign yourself to your fate as a digital serf. The door is still ajar. Light from the old world, a world of freedom and chaos, still shines through the crack. But the heavy steel slab of the digital gulag has already begun its downward descent. You have a chance to slip through, or at least squeeze your foot in before the door slams shut. Act now. Tomorrow will be too late. Tomorrow you'll wake up, reach for your phone, and instead of the familiar interface, you'll see the smiling face of Big Brother, who will say, "Good morning, citizen. Your carbon limit for today is 200 grams. Enjoy your meal." End of communication.